Happy Friday and good evening. Welcome to the 36th episode of Camp Quarantine. Have a very special episode today. We are certainly highlighting all the good outdoors as well as honoring the life and legacy of a baseball hero. Hit the share button below. We have some giveaways, great new guests. It's all coming up right now on episode 36 of Camp Quarantine. Hello. Happy Friday. So glad you could join us for another episode of Camp Quarantine. If this is your first time joining, it is a pleasure to host you at our home studios here in Atlanta, Georgia. I am your host, Amrit Bhavnani with Hustle and Hospitality. Wow. Usually the Camp Quarantine works. We get into it. We tell some jokes. We share a little bit about the week, what's been going on in the world, and get into some of our guests. Today is going to be a little bit different. We said the same thing, funny enough, 2 weeks ago, but a lot has been going on in the world. Today, as many of you know, if you've been following Camp Quarantine for a very long time, I am a giant Braves fan, but even more than that, a huge philanthropist. And as somebody here in the city of Atlanta, it saddens me to share today that this morning, the great legend, home run king Hank Aaron passed at the age of 86 in his sleep. For those of you unfamiliar with Mr. Aaron, well, I encourage you to take a look at a little bit of his legacy here.
He's sitting on 714. Here's the pitch by Downing. Swinging. There's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7:15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron. The fireworks are going. Henry Aaron is coming around third. His teammates are at home plate, and listen to this crowd. A sellout crowd is cheering Henry Aaron, the home run king of all time. 7:15.
So as we talk about his life and legacy as a baseball hero, there's so much more to discuss of Hank off the diamond. So today we're going to have guests that are going to be conversing and sharing all of his life's moments and wonderful things that he has done during his time on this planet, where we know now that he's playing ball somewhere up above. So we're going to get into that, but how can we not talk about what's going on this week in the news? Well, let's talk about some numbers. Well, we said goodbye to 45, hello to 46, goodbye to 44 again, but we'll get into all of that. What else is going on? When we think about the numbers today, I hope you guys will stay for this program, but as soon as it finishes, if you'll follow my lead and run out tonight, there is a $1 billion Mega Millions jackpot.
Looking ahead tonight, you have a chance to win $1 billion. The Mega Millions Lotto drawing is tonight at 11. Nobody has won for months, so the jackpot now the second largest in Mega Millions history. But even if you don't win the full thing, you could still get $10,000 if you match 4 white balls and the Mega Ball instead of 5. Now, if you get all the 5 balls except the Mega Ball, you can walk away with $1 million. That does not sound bad.
Not at all.
What would you do if you went out and you even won $1 million? Forget the $1 billion, but since we're talking about numbers, this is a live show. We want to hear from you directly. So share with us, what would you do today if you won the $1 million? I'd be very curious. I think only fitting that at least 755 of those may be donated to a very good cause here in Atlanta, but that's just me. So comment below. We have plenty of guests. That's the way this works. And oh yeah, we also have this little giveaway of this guy towards the end of the show. So stick with us here. We have an all-new slate of guests. But in talking about the life and legacy of Hank Aaron, I want to also just bring back that even though we are here in Atlanta, his legacy lasts so much further than the baseball diamond, than this city, and certainly this nation. He's remembered and revered as a civil rights hero for many reasons as well. But I have been privileged to get to know Hank. When I say get to know, I mean shaking his hand a few times, but seen him at alumni events, seen him at some of his dealership that's so very sought after, but been very privileged to have graced in his presence, and that humble humility, that kindness is always something that comes across. Our first guest today has had the privilege of sharing a diamond with him and isn't actually here in Atlanta. So as we talk about the life and legacy of Hank Aaron, especially this week, while we honor Dr. Martin Luther King, I want to bring on somebody who I came across thanks to the internet, yes, but it was due to the amount, I'm a little choked up today, if you might imagine, so you guys are going to have to bear with me here because it's been a very emotional day, but I want to bring up our first guest who's actually from New Orleans, Mr. Mark Tolbert. Mark, are you there? Happy Friday.
Thank you, Amric. Good to be with you guys.
So, Mark, you are in New Orleans, right? Is that correct?
Yes, I've lived here for the last 14 years, but born and raised in Atlanta, graduated from high school there, graduated from Georgia State University, so Atlanta's my hometown.
So Atlanta is a hometown. I was going to say, otherwise, how do you get away with wearing anything Atlanta? I imagine that you're a Saints fan as well, but we're glad to have you here with the Braves. So I came across your post today, which really just almost moved me to tears. But I would love for you to share a little bit about your background. You've had the privilege of meeting Hank Aaron, but while he was still a ball player, though I may never have seen him hit a dinger or field a single out, you have. Can you talk to us and take us through for a few minutes about those experiences and those memories that you want to, ensure that folks that as we are speaking about his legacy and his memory are able to hear?
Absolutely. It was 54 years ago, actually. It was the summer of 1967. It was the Braves' year in Atlanta. I had a dream job as a teenage boy. I worked for the Atlanta Braves. Me and two of my friends worked in the visiting team clubhouse during that summer of 1967. So I got to be every game, front row seat for all of the Braves games at the old Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. It was an awesome experience for a team.
So you had shared a specific instance and a time where I guess you now talk to me, I guess, about your background's a little bit different. You'd sent over some pictures here that I hope it's okay that I share with the folks here, but you were wearing a different uniform actually when you met him. Is that correct?
That's true. I worked for the Braves, but I worked in the visiting team clubhouse, and I was the visiting team bat boy. This is me many years and many pounds ago when I was 16 years old. The Phillies were in town. That was actually the first team that I worked for the Braves. I was the visiting team bat boy. I worked in the clubhouse before and after the game, but during the game, I was down on the field bat. During batting practice, I would balls. I wore the visiting uniform. That would bring the bat boy uniform with me. Sort of fun. I was wearing the uniform, but the whole game was totally blue because I wanted to break.
That's pretty cool. I think you broke up a little bit there, but if I heard you right, so you worked for the visiting team clubhouse. Now, this is in which year exactly, Mark?
This was 1967. This was the Braves' second year in Atlanta.
Wow. So talk to us about, I guess, the way, even then, as somebody who's coming up, Hank, I mean, as he's coming up through, the ranks, of course, do you know when you're on the field with him, even in his presence, do the other players know this is the king, this is greatness, he embodies it? Or I know that, today, as I say, when I meet him, he just has that humility about him. Is that something that was the same case then as well? Talk to about us a little bit of his, pregame or his prep work and kind of who he was as an individual there on the diamond.
Well, he was absolutely the superstar of the Braves team. He wasn't the home run king yet. That was 7 years later. We all know he was the most outstanding member of the Braves team. Joe Torre played for the Braves then. In fact, I sent you a picture of a baseball today that is autographed by Hank. There it is. Right. Joe was number 30. Yeah. Quiet. Was flat, arrogant. It was very quiet, person, but easy.
I don't know if it's the internet over there in New Orleans or it's just the amount of folks that are wanting to pay tribute to Hank Aaron. But I think I lost some of that, but I got the gist of it. So this ball that you shared with us here, that's from 1964 as well. Is that correct?
67, right?
67.
I have a couple of autographed Braves baseball. I have a ball autograph on all the National League teams. I have an all-star ball that I brought out after the all-star break. And when a team would come to town, I would pull it out. The all-stars on that respective team. But right,
Lovely. Talk to us. Have you been able to come to Atlanta since and see the new Truist Park? What's your take on? There's a lot of folks that are up in arms thinking that number 44. Obviously, I agree. Should be retired across the board for Major League Baseball. But there's folks that are putting out petitions and trying to discuss renaming the new Truist Field to more reflect that. What's your take on that, or how do you think that every day somebody can honor the lasting legacy and remember Hank Aaron?
Well, the new venue is beautiful. Turner Field's nice. When I worked for the Braves, the park is incredible complex. sponsor. Like I'm actually a pastor. First, I give honor to honor. I believe Hank is honor. And I hope the Braves honor that he. So
think we lost you with some of that there, but Mark, thank you so much for sharing your time and your kind words about Hank over here. How can folks follow you or stay abreast with you? Do you have any social pages or any causes? You mentioned you're a pastor. How can folks find your church?
I'm a seminary professor at New Orleans Seminary. You want to go to nobts.edu. I'm a professor. I teach young pastors. But let me ask you, is there time for me to tell the story about forgetting my shoes one day? Do we have time?
Please. That's what I was hoping you'd share. So I would love that. The floor is yours.
Well, I got down to the stadium one day and I left baseball cleats at home. I forgot them. It was a couple of hours before the game began. Most of the players had not come in yet. And so I took the tunnel from the visiting clubhouse over to the Braves clubhouse. The Braves bat boy was named Mark, same as me, 16 years old, same as me. We were friends. And so I found Mark and I said, "Could I borrow a pair of your cleats?" And he said, "Sure." So he took me over to his locker and he got a spare pair of cleats. They looked small. And I said, "Mark, what size are they?" Well, they're. And I said, "I don't think I can wear it." He said, "Well, you can try." I said, "There's just no way I could possibly wear it. I need a size 10. I have no idea where I'm going to get any." Well, someone was standing by, overheard our conversation, said, "I've got a pair of 10." I turned around, and it was actually Hank Aaron. He took me over to his locker. He loaned me a pair of his shoes and allowed me to wear them in the game that night, which I did. And so for the last 54 years, I've been very proud to tell people, actually, I did one night for 4 hours. After the game, I shined them. He did not have. I was just a young teenager. He was a superstar. He was. So he knew it would probably mean a lot to a teenager. I don't know if he had any idea 54 years later it would be something that his granddad told his grandchildren. One of my grandchildren came today to make sure I knew about Hank's past. Philip, be kind. I just want all the Braves heroes to know what a superstar was. And right in the middle of all these coming in, he reached out to a young teenager.
What a lovely story. So you can see right then, even amidst his Hall of Fame career, through all the noise, he's there to offer his kindness and the generosity, and not the shirt off his back, but maybe the shoes off his feet. So something definitely to keep in mind and remember there. Mark, any other parting words for our Camp Quarantine guests? Thank you so much for sharing that lovely memory.
I would just say, go Braves. Next year is always going to be our year.
Next year will always be our year. Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it. Hopefully it's not next year will always be our year. Maybe it's this year. We don't know what's going on, but we want to continue to remember the lasting life and legacy of Hank Aaron. And what's funny is we go from one Mark to another. And with that, I'd like to introduce our next guest. Honoring the legacy and life of legendary baseball player, activist, and philanthropist Hank Aaron. I'm pretty privileged and pleased to introduce our next guest. He is an MC for the Atlanta Braves, Mr. Mark Owens. Mark, happy Friday. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Happy Friday. Thanks for having me on. I wish it could be under different circumstances, but first and foremost, before we get started, congratulations to you and the great things you're doing with Camp Quarantine, and something that we wish it wasn't still going on. We wish we weren't still having a Camp Quarantine, from our basement and from our house. But kudos to you for the great things you're doing and highlighting local charities and whatnot. And I hope that doesn't get overlooked. So you deserve a lot of recognition for that.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. Well, it's thanks to the guests that our viewers tune in and support us. So it has nothing to do with me, but I'm just, like I said, privileged to have folks like you on board. Well, today we are honoring, obviously, the life of Hank Aaron. This morning was very devastating for me, as I'm sure it was for you and the organization. Talk to me about, I guess, the way you heard or kind of the way your morning has gone. Obviously, you're very much so in tune and tied in with the organization. With the season starting, in a couple of months again, and we've heard from the commissioner it's going to start in April as kind of planned. How has that impacted you guys? How does the news come about? And certainly, how are you feeling today, Mark?
So if you ask, how's the day been when you hear about the passing of the GOAT, Hank Aaron, it's kind of surreal because we've been kind of gut punched already with the passing of Don Sutton last week too, who is truly one of the great broadcasters and, a Hall of Famer and done such great things for baseball. And despite playing for the Dodgers, he loved Braves fans. He loved Braves country. So to lose him, we're still kind of in, of course, Phil Niekro. We lost Phil Niekro, at the end of the year. And then Don Sutton, and you're like, oh man, it's been tough. And then to get the news today that the legend Hammer and Hank had passed away, it's just like, 2021, we're supposed to get better. We're supposed to go back to the ballpark this season, and we want to see Hank there, up in the suite, waving to the crowd and getting a standing ovation. But now to know that, he's not going to be there, it's really tough. And you scroll, and I was literally in a work Zoom meeting this morning, and we're all in the middle of a conversation, blah blah blah, and then at the exact same moment, everybody just looks down at their phone. And it was like almost scripted out of a movie. We all just went, oh my God, Hank Aaron just passed away. And we just took a couple of minutes to completely stop what we were doing just to kind of reflect on the moment. And for so many people that have never met him, you still feel like you know him and everything that he's done. And he's made such an impact on every baseball player's life. And it doesn't matter if you only go to one game a year, or you're a casual fan, or you grew up in California, or, out on the West Coast or up north. And yeah, I kind of like baseball, and I'll watch one or two games on TV or we'll listen to it on the radio if we're cool or something. And even that person's life has been affected by Hank Aaron. And so then you take someone like yourself and someone like myself and the big fans here who, Hank Aaron's, that's our guy. Like that he's ours. Like, no, that's not Hank Aaron. So it's surreal, I guess. And I think it makes me miss baseball even more. And it makes me so excited and so hopeful that we can get back to the stadium as a group at some point this season. And I think when we all come together to not just celebrate Hank Aaron, but to celebrate baseball, because that's what he wanted. He wants us to be there together and celebrating the game that he fought so hard for, and he helped so many people with in baseball. So for all of us just to get back together, I think is going to be the true, I guess the true, what's the word, like dedication, I guess, or the true way to honor his legacy is to get back into the stadium and continue supporting the game that we love.
So one of his quotes, one of the most famous, and I'm here close to what was Turner Field, and I was very much an advocate for ensuring that as much as the stadium may be going and a lot of the namesakes, that wall is still erected there in the shadow of Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, where he hit 715. This morning was emotional for me. I went over there and took a tomahawk, but wrote just that. Just keep swinging. That was always his phrase. And I think to your point, to honor his legacy, absolutely. I think the baseball world, the world as a whole, can just do that. Look forward to the game, continue to celebrate those pieces. All right, let's shift a little bit. We're folks that every week we are so much honored to be a part of raising money. Various. Can you speak to obviously it was an MC there, some of the immediate impact, some of the that Aaron absolutely stood for, and is something that's cementing legacy beyond the diamond.
You know, when you talk about how many great things that Hank Aaron has done and how many organizations and charities that he has put his name on or he's put his fingerprint on to help ensure that they grow or get the funds they need, it's almost become almost like an inside joke every season within the Braves organization. It's like, okay, how many awards do we need to get prepared to give away to Hank Aaron? He does so much and he's so revered and so honored that it's almost like any excuse to get him back out there on the field. And you know, he did a lot with like boys and girls clubs. He was always, when his health was better, you know, he was always up there wanting to talk to the kids. He did a lot making sure that minority sports, you know, that those players had voices as well. He was heavily involved in that, as we know. I'm going to tell you a quick story, though, and this isn't so much a charity story. This is kind of my own personal little Hank Aaron story. So it was an event we did. This was, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe more than that. It was at Turner Field. And it was a meet and greet, not even meet and greet. It was just an event, and Hank Aaron was just the MC of it, or the guest speaker. And it was an exclusive event. I think it was the season ticket holders, some of the you know, the big players that really support the Braves, and he was the guest speaker. And so they asked me to come. Hey, can you just do the MC and welcome everybody coming out, ladies and gentlemen, Hank Aaron. So there was a little bit of downtime before the event got started. And I'm about, I don't know, 15 feet away from Hank Aaron. Now, my job with the Atlanta Braves this will be season 15. My job is just to entertain the fans. I'm a fan at heart, so I'm just as all, which also means I'm just as much of a fanboy as everybody else is. But I've got the opportunity to have one-on-one conversations, to be close to them. So sometimes the hardest part is just not fanboying out. When I get close to when I get close to Smoltzy or Glavine or Box or Dale Murphy or Chipper, you know, I get close to those guys for just an alumni interview. And there's a little part of me going, oh my God, dude, that's Chipper Jones. Holy crap, that's Chipper Jones. It was the exact same way with Hank Aaron, but on a grander scale. So we're in the 75 Club up at Turner Field, a little bit of a downtime. And I was like, okay, I'm going to introduce myself and say hello to him. And I'm like, hey, Mr. Aaron, how you doing? Mark Owens, you know, great to meet you. You know, thank you so much for everything you've done and everything you've done for the Braves. And, you know, I just want to say thank you. Could not have been a nicer gentleman. He probably didn't know who I was. You know, I'm sure he might have seen me up there, but you don't register that. But he still talked to me for the brief 60 seconds at most. We still had a conversation, and he treated me like I was the only person in the room. And we talked a little bit about what the team was going to be like this year. And I think we were going through, like, it was a heat wave. And I was like, hey, it's hard playing the heat wave. No, you know, it's just part of the game. Well, so we got done, I went to shake his hand. And I know this sounds dramatic, and I don't mean for it to, but it was like shaking the hand of royalty, because it was like, that's Hank Aaron. And by the way, not to mention, it's like a catcher's mitt. I mean, it is strong and powerful. And you pull your hand back, and you're like, done, never watching this one again. But as I said, my thank yous, and I'm walking away. I was like, well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate, you know, everything you do. Well, no problem. It was good to meet you, Mike. And
oh man, it's okay, but at the same time, that same feeling, I think, as I've you know, watched ESPN this morning, or you watch, you know, the local news and such, those stories are echoed by just about anybody who encountered him.
Call me Mike. I'm okay with that.
I know, but that is.
I wanted to change that day. I'm like, everybody, call me Mike. I don't care. I don't care what my driver's license says. I am Mike today.
If the king calls you Mike, that is your name. If he was to call me anything else, which I've met him a couple of times, and it's been in passing. I've gone to his dealership or events that he's hosted, or charity events and such. But he gives you that time of day. He makes you feel like that individual. You're not just somebody there who's, you know, assisting with this or that. Like, he will absolutely take that time. And you know, our parent with Camp Quarantine company here is Hustle and Hospitality, and that hospitality aspect, that humility aspect, is something that he absolutely exuded. And even for just somebody like you approaching him or shaking his hand, I think that is felt and resonates. And that kind of brings me another topic I want to talk about. You know, Major League Baseball is going around, and I know there's topics right now about, you know, retiring 44 across the board, which I'm all for. I know there's people that are advocating and petitioning for Truist Park at Hank Aaron Field, or whatever it may be. How can everybody in their day-to-day, specifically even today, or you yourself, how are you honoring and how can you remember Hank Aaron?
I think the best way to remember and to honor Hank Aaron is to support the game of baseball and support the Little League parks around your communities and support those kids that maybe don't have the access that, I grew up out in West Cobb. We had great ballparks out there, but you go to some ballparks in, downtown Atlanta, they're not as good. I think the best thing we can do is continue to support the game and go to the game and be good fans, be ambassadors to not just the Atlanta Braves, but the baseball in general. Like, we always say when we go to opposing team stadiums, you're still representing your team. So I know you mentioned you'd gone out to Arlington for some of the playoff games. You had your Braves jersey on. I'm sure there was Dodger fans out there. You're still representing the Braves, and you want to be the best fan possible. There's nothing more embarrassing than when you go to, you go out of town and you say, "Oh, I'm from Atlanta." "Oh, are you a Braves fan?" "Yeah, I'm a diehard Braves fan." "Yeah, well, I'm just going to fight with the Braves fan at a game because he was drunk and being a jerk." Represent your team and be a good fan. I think that is what we can do to represent the legacy of Hank Aaron. Is just be good people and just support and love the game of baseball.
Talking to you is just putting a bigger smile on my face, and this is exactly what I needed today. Chat with me. What else do I need is to look forward to the game ahead. Obviously, Alex Anthopoulos is under some scrutiny for not yet making quite the moves that other of our division rivals may have, but I know next weekend is something huge and looming. We talk about camp quarantine, training camp, spring training camp is coming up. What can we look forward to on the horizon just from our favorite ballpark?
So some of the moves and some of the things that are happening within the Atlanta Braves organization for the fans is, let me go back to what you said about Alex Anthopoulos right now. I got faith in him. I got full faith. Because remember how mad everybody got when they didn't re-sign Josh Donaldson? And, we still had a pretty good season this year. So I think our pitching staffs looks good. The ins and outs, I don't get into the budgets and the wallets because it's not my money, but I got faith in the team. But then again, it's not fair because I'm also a homer. So we could be dead last in the NL East, and I'm still going to be there going, "We're number one. We're the best team ever." But as far as what we can look forward to is coming up next weekend, there is the Atlanta Braves house party. It will be replacing, they traditionally have the Fan Fest, where they allow fans to come in and get some autographs. Well, obviously because of situations, they're going to hit pause on that this season. But they're doing a lot of virtual events, Q&As with your favorite players, some cooking demonstrations with your favorite players and coaches, tours around the ballpark. Looper's going to be involved, opportunities to win some prizes as well. So just make sure you're following the Braves across all the social media platforms. You'll see more information about it coming up. But when you see the house party, that's what the house party is. It's just kind of a way to, in these just silly times that we're in, we're still trying to connect as best we can with our fans, and that's what the house party will be. And as far as spring training goes, look, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed it's going to go as normal. Now, I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. I don't think anybody really knows because it changes so much. It wouldn't surprise me if, yes, spring training is still a go. Probably no fans, down at North Point or Northport. But I know looking forward to the season, as it gets closer, they're going to do everything they can to try to get fans in the stands. Even if it's a limited capacity, 10, 25, 30%, whatever it's safe, whatever it's responsible, because I think, me, again, I say I'm a fan and I miss it just as much as I know you do too. So something to look forward to is, hopefully by the All-Star break, we'll get back to Truist Park again. So that's something to look forward to. And as of now, the best news we can hear is that baseball's a go.
Well, one thing that I will say, one way we can honor as a team, as a fan base, is I know you've got something over your left shoulder over there, but how much better would it be this year to honor that with a different kind of banner back at the end of October here? So maybe we can get a replacement over there for you. I'm a tech fan. I would be remiss if I didn't say something. But Mark, how can folks follow you the entire season and along with your adventures and certainly your travels and musings, which I know you do a lot of?
Well, here, how about this? How about just put my big old head over the Bulldog? That makes me feel a little bit better. We'll put Hammer and Hank front and center here as we wrap things up. I'm surprised you didn't make fun of me because of my crappy camera. Like, I'm sorry, this is my crappy Zoom camera that I just use for meetings. I don't use for interviews. I don't have time to get it set up. So feel free to make fun of me on it any way you want to. Damn Bulldog can't even figure out how to work a camera in a Zoom meeting. I'll tell you what. So, all right, you can You can follow me across social media on Instagram and on Twitter at Marco, M-A-R-K-O, 6262. Again, M-A-R-K-O, 6262. And anytime you come to a Braves game, please come say hello. I don't mind it. You know, people often say, I run into it all the time. Again, I've been doing this this will be season 15. People say, hey, you were working. I didn't want to bug you. I don't mind. Like, I'm not there to watch the game. I'm there for the fans. So if you want to come up and say, hey, there's where our perch is at Truist Park. There's a great shot of the field. Get the family up there, man. I'll take pictures of you guys with a great background too, and we'll let the kids hold the microphones. They Tomahawk teams up there as well. So if you're just out walking around Truist Park, please come say hello. We'd love to say hi and high five and talk a little Braves baseball with you all season long. Fingers crossed, get back in there on April the 9th.
For anybody that does not know, Mark truly means that, because it is how he and I met many years ago. And as a result, I've been one of the people that I guess has been privileged to run around with the big head in the stands that gets past so many different fun events. And thank you so much for your time and being here with us this Friday, sharing so much about the life and legacy of Hank Aaron, as well as, you know, all the ins and outs of upcoming with the Braves. So on this day especially, I really, really appreciate you taking the time out and sharing your words. Anything else you'd like to leave our viewers of Camp Quarantine with before we let you go today?
Hey, man, you know, like I said, keep an eye on Braves social media too, as this weekend's going to be tough for a lot of Braves fans. There are going to be some special events going on just for Hank Aaron. I do think they're setting up a kind of like a memorial, if you will, somewhere you can go and put some flowers down, and they're working on some stuff behind the scenes. Nothing's really confirmed yet, so I don't want to say anything. We just keep an eye on Braves social media for what they're going to be doing to honor Hank Aaron, especially this weekend. And of course, get prepared this season, man. We're definitely going to show the love to Hank Aaron, to the family, and everything he's done. And to you personally, I mean, great job for everything you're doing with the charities and Camp Quarantine, and continued success to you. And any way we can help you out, we'd love to help you.
I really appreciate it. Mark, you be safe out there and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Mark, always a joy to have you. Thank you so much for always sharing and spreading your energy and sharing some stories of the late and great Hank Aaron. We've got a lot of comments coming in. Do we think that we'll be playing a full 162 come April? The commissioner of baseball certainly thinks that, and as does Brandon over here. But this is the interactive part. You can tell we are live. Well, Hank Aaron is a philanthropist, and our show was always founded on highlighting nonprofits. January is a unique month because it is National Mentoring Month, but we have also been raising money for Hope for Justice. The last 3 weeks, we have been celebrating and bringing awareness to January being National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Well, I think it only fitting today in honor of the late Hank Aaron and the great baseball player that he was. Mark talked about his charities and what he gave back. And he did have an organization, a nonprofit, in which he had 755 scholarships that he wanted to give. But he also is a great supporter of the Boys and Girls Club of America. So today, figured what better way to give away this bobblehead than also involve some philanthropy in it. So if you guys are watching now, before the end of the broadcast, actually what we'll do is we'll push this out and we'll say end midnight tonight, because I know a lot of folks watch it at their own time prior or on the West Coast or whatnot. But we want to obviously involve some philanthropy as we honor the late Hank Aaron. So what I encourage you to do is to win this bobblehead, to win this Hank Aaron bobblehead. Go to bgcma.org. I'll place that right up there on the screen. That is the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Atlanta. And just click the donate button right there at the top of the screen. Click donate today and send us. I don't care if it's via DM. I don't care if it's via email at our pr@campquarantine.co. We've done this a few times, but make any donation in the amount of 44 cents, $44, $4.44, $7.55, something that means something to you, but also can honor and is very clear a donation on behalf of the late and great Hank Aaron. So go ahead and send us an email at pr@campquarantine.co. I'll definitely drop that in the comments below, or on our Instagram, shoot us a DM, just a screenshot of your name. Don't even have to show the amount, but that you donated today. So just make sure the date is visible and make sure that your name is there, and shoot us a DM, shoot us an email just to show validation that you did donate. And we'll pick a winner today, and we will ship this bobblehead to anyone in the U.S. It doesn't even have to be in Atlanta. So if you'd like to participate in the giveaway, we will comment. I'll comment that below, but we'll give everybody time till midnight tonight, and we will announce a winner on both our Facebook and our Instagram page. But thank you all for supporting us, and thank you for supporting the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Atlanta and continuing the legacy of Hank Aaron, as I'm sure he would want it. All right. We are a camping show. We do talk so much about baseball today because it's only fitting that we honor such a person who has left a lasting impact on me and exudes that humility and that hospitality that the South can breed, has overcome so many of those obstacles many, many years ago that we are still facing today. Our next guest is a creative as well, who is normally in Atlanta, but is joining us from remote location elsewhere. I am thrilled to bring on a good friend of mine, an outdoor enthusiast, an entrepreneur, and philanthropist as well, Mr. Lennox Mercedes. Lennox, you there? Happy Friday.
Hey, happy to be here, man. How's it going?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining us here. I'm sure you've been watching all this and trying to watch me hold back my tears all day. We had a conversation earlier on the phone, and it's funny, when I wanted to bring you on today, I didn't anticipate, obviously, the loss of such a great icon or hero. But any comments? Talk to me about like what Hank Aaron means to you, and certainly the way that may have, his legacy has an impact, and the way that's shaped, obviously, the projects that you're currently working on.
Man, I mean, that's such a huge impact, man. I'm originally from New York, so I grew up, watching Reggie Jackson and those guys and the amazing Mets in '86 and everything. But I'm also Dominican, and baseball is a religion in the Dominican Republic. So on behalf of the Dominican community and the Latino community at large, we want to say, rest in peace to the Hall of Famer. Hammer and Hank is just an amazing legacy. I've been in Atlanta since '03. And have been around the Braves and the Braves organization, and it's major, man. He has such an impact on and off the field. In my Airbnb travels, I was looking at his house on MLK. It was for sale, maybe a year and a half ago, right on MLK. And the story was that was his former house. So we went and looked at it and stuff. It was like the biggest house on the street and everything. So no, man, it's incredible. And, my condolences to you and all the Braves family and the baseball community at large, man. It's a big hit. He did so much work even after baseball, right? So just a huge loss right now for the community.
I was very fortunate to live close here to the what was Turner Field. Now it's Georgia State University. But there's the shot of the Hank Aaron home run wall that we just saw in that video to start today's stream, of him hitting that 715, and not only just breaking barriers in a sense of during the civil rights movement there in the 60s and 70s, but as you have heard interviews, I'm sure. I mean, he received not very wonderful threats and on his life and notes and things like that, but his words were always to keep swinging. So those poinsettias over there and a tomahawk I wrote "Keep Swinging On" is there. But for those that would like to continue to pay homage to him, they've also set up a nice little memorial in Monument Grove up at Truist Park, where I know fans are gathering and paying their respects and tributes. And as Mark mentioned previously, they'll be opening Monument Grove up tomorrow too, for folks to go into Truist Park and pay their respects. But talk to me a little bit about, I guess, what you've been up to. The pandemic has not really, put a dampening on your efforts. What have you been up to the last few months? And share with us a little bit more about high gravity hip hop, if you would, please.
Man, coming out of 2019, I was really getting ready to step on the gas on what I was doing with high gravity hip hop. And at the end of 2019, my dad got sick and quickly recovered, thankfully. And then while he was recovering, literally like a week or two into his recovery, I tore my Achilles. So also, my daughter was living in Boston at the time with her mom because she had taken a job up there. So I almost could not quarantine. I had to travel to see my daughter, etc. So it's funny because I was coming back from Boston and I decided to just take the long road through New York and visit family, and I did an event there. This was before the lockdown happened in March. I did an event at craft beer place up there called Beer Wax. Shout out to them. And I left there and I went to Pennsylvania. When I left Boston, the news was like the first 2 cases have been reported. I go to New York, spend a couple weeks. I left New York, go to Pennsylvania to visit my cousin, and 4,000 cases were reported in New York. I left Pennsylvania. I took the train down to Georgia, and like the next day, all travel was shut down. I felt like the thing was chasing me down the coast, this COVID stuff. So I ended up getting COVID. After all that traveling, I didn't get sick. I ended up getting COVID while I was not traveling here in Atlanta in November, man. And it was a little scary, but luckily it was fairly mild compared to a lot of people, and I was able to get over it. So it was scary, man, because obviously no one has seen anything like this in our lifetimes, for sure. We've heard stories about other things in the past, but in this technology age, we haven't had this type of lockdown. So that put made it harder to do what I was trying to do, but that didn't let it stop me. I just was.
You just kept swinging.
I just kept swinging. I said, all right, if we got to put on a mask, we put on a mask. If we got to, we got to take the precautions we need to take. And I really wanted to focus on creating more content under the brand. So I shot a whole season visiting breweries in New York. And I'm currently editing and putting that out and looking to do more cities. I want to do like one city at a time with Atlanta and LA and different places. In between, I also added cannabis into kind of the umbrella of what I'm working on. So now it's craft beer, cannabis, and culture as we start to legalize cannabis throughout the country. So I want to be able to play a role in being, kind of ahead of the curve in cannabis as well. So that's what I've been focusing on the content. I'm also working with Atlanta Influences Everything. I am the project manager for their beer and cannabis collaborations, and the first collaborations with Pontoon Brewing. Shout out to them, who are doing amazing work with amazing beer. And we'll be rolling out some pretty cool stuff in 2021 with them. Actually, just had a call with them earlier today. So really excited about rolling out some beer under the Atlanta Influences Everything Pontoon collaboration. It's going to be really interesting. I don't want to give any more away. There's a lot of really cool flavors and, more collaborations even under that. So look forward, be on the lookout for that.
So I'm going to pull up your Instagram here. I've got it listed below, as you might see, High Gravity Hip Hop. But one of the things that I know that I really wanted to get you on today was because you are also an outdoor and adventure enthusiast, and you just returned from a trip to where is this we've got up here? This is the Grand Canyon, right? This is the west side or the south side?
This is Grand Canyon West, and there is a Native American tribe that's there. It's in one of the pictures. I want to say it's the Huapalapi. I hope I didn't say that wrong, but they were amazing hosts, very gracious. It was my mom's birthday, and there she is. And we went to Las Vegas. She wanted to go to Vegas. She wanted to go to Hawaii, but it was like, all right, we got to kind of reel this in a little bit. So we kind of, agreed to do Vegas. And I was like, well, let's do some social distance stuff. And I rented a car, went over to the Hoover Dam, as you see there, which is on the way to Grand Canyon West. And it was incredible. She was blown away. It was breathtaking. And it was really, really amazing. It was terrifying because you're 4,000 feet, maybe more above everything. This looks like an innocent hill a little bit, right? It doesn't really do it justice. I was telling some folks, like, no picture will ever do it justice. And now I'm seeing all the pictures that I've ever seen before of people at the Grand Canyon, and I have a new appreciation for it because it just without like a VR, maybe, kind of thing, this is no real way to appreciate how high up and how huge this like landscape is. It's incredible and it's beautiful. And I saw something really cool. There were some kids, and they were just jumping up and down on the rocks. I was like, you guys aren't scared of nothing, are you? So one of the kids, like, I guess wrote his name on a rock or something. And when his dad found out, his dad was highly upset and made him erase it. He's like, what gives you the right to come, screw with this beautiful land, and he forced him to erase it. I thought it was a great teachable moment, to preserve the outdoors, like we got to share this stuff. So we want to take care of it. So when you think about people going outdoors, I'm very mindful about trash and my footprint and, like all of these things and try to enjoy it, but without messing it up.
That's where the leave no trace comes in, and it's just a philosophy of any outdoorsman, and I think really anyone should adopt it. So that's pretty exciting. How can folks follow you? Is High Gravity Hip Hop that we've got on the screen the best means to keep abreast of your adventures?
Instagram, High Gravity Hip Hop, or you can go on the website, High Gravity Hip Hop, or regular spelling, and get on the email list. We're gonna go back to the email list. We kind of got away from the email list as marketing people, but as we've seen. If you don't own the platform, you don't own your account. That could go away at any moment. And if you don't have direct contact with your folks, you're going to be in bad shape. So I prefer for you to sign up for the email.
Now we're going to have to get you on Clubhouse if you're not already having those conversations.
I'm on Clubhouse. My nephew, who actually played minor league baseball, was giving me a whole tutorial. He lives in Vegas, and I went to visit him real quick. And he gave me a whole tutorial on Clubhouse and why I have to be on there doing what I do.
Well, Lennox, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate the words and sharing in your experience, and appreciate you sharing those pictures too. I hope we'll have you on in a future one when you'll be promoting an in-person event that we can attend. But I always love your logo. Do me a solid, hold up that sweatshirt because I know you've got the sickest merch.
Got some pretty neat merch, and yeah, I was blessed with this logo. If you go on the website, you can see what my kind of mock-up looked like and how just disastrous it was. And a fantastic artist, graphic designer was able to put her hands on it and make it what it is. Thank you for being you. I'm very, very grateful to count you as a friend. You have come through for me in clutch situations in the past many times, and I want to make sure that your audience knows that. I know they know you're an amazing guy, but I'm on deck for whatever you need anytime, man. I'm very grateful for your friendship.
Oh, I appreciate it. And I hope we get to see each other soon and toast over a brew, whether it be outdoors, distance, or maybe even just like this on another episode. We'd love to have you back. So enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for spending time with us this evening.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
All right, folks, we are coming up towards the end of our show, but not before we welcome our last guest. One more reminder before we do that, we are giving away this absolutely one-of-a-kind Hank Aaron bobblehead. And all you've got to do is donate to the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Atlanta. January happens to be National Mentoring Month. I am a big brother in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. We featured them a couple of months ago as our charity, but honoring the life and legacy of the late Hank Aaron, home run king, philanthropist, we felt it only fitting that we would share in one of his one of his most dear charities. So all the information there on bgcma.org. Just shoot us over your donation, whether it be 44 cents, $7.55, $755, some donation, just so we can know that we are tying it back to the late and great Hank Aaron. All right, our last guest today is super special, because we had planned to have her on, obviously before any of the passing of my hero. But because we're a van show, we have the van, we have Nirvana. Wait, maybe some of you watching don't even know what we are. Well, we're a camping show, and we've been very privileged to be able to experience the great outdoors and share that joy with so many of you. So before we welcome our final guest for the evening, figure we'll take a look back at how far we have come. So we have been working on Nirvana for some time, and that really excites me because we have a lot more to share, but we are running out of time today. So instead of sharing the state of Nirvana, I'm excited to welcome our guest. But all of you who are interested in more of our van progress, give us a follow at campquarantine.co on Instagram, where we post all the videos, as well as if you can support us at patreon.com/campq. We have all of our build videos, the DIY, the breakdown on the cost, and whatnot. Speaking of cost, we are a live show, and thank you very much to Mr. Brandon Freehill, who just let us know that the minimum donation on the site due to credit card processing is $10. So any amount over $10, shoot us a message, give us that proof of donation, and this guy could be yours. All right, without further ado, I'm excited to bring on our last and final guest this evening, all the way out in Canada, Miss Oceane. You there, Oceane? Hey, how are you? Happy Friday.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
Happy Friday.
Thank you. Happy Friday too.
I hope you've been having a wonderful week. I love this background you have there. What is that? Is that your work, or just as an artist?
That's my working spot, in fact. So like I'm in front of my working desk, and in the back it's my studio where I do all my stuff, like at nighttime and the weekend.
So talk to me. So we have never met in person. Most of our guests that we bring on either have some affiliation with hustle and hospitality, love the outdoors, but I kind of happened to stumble upon your page through essentially your own promotions on some of the van life communities and groups. So talk to me a little bit about your background, how you got into illustrations, and certainly what draws you to, see what I did there? That's a pun. What draws you? Anyways. A little bit of terrible humor. But yeah, share with us exactly where you are and kind of how you got started.
So I live in Canada, Montreal. So we are between French and English community. I've been studying in industrial design at the University of Montreal. And I finally jumped in graphic design like right after my school. I've been working in fashion industry. And then now I'm working in video games industry. So I'm an artist in video game industry full time. And part time, I'm doing illustration just for fun because I love it. And it helped me also escape from the computer station, let's say.
So your background is in industrial design. That, for many people who don't know, can be anything. I actually, where I went to school at Georgia Tech, I was actually an an industrial design major for some time.
Okay.
I thought I wanted to go to packaging design and promotions and those sorts of things. But what's your bread and butter? You said you're on the computer. You an Adobe suite? What are you?
Working mostly with Adobe, but also since like video game industry is mostly working on engine technology. So I'm working a lot in Unity, and for most of my drawing, it's mostly my iPad just here that I can just bring everywhere and draw in the sofa or everywhere in the garden, whatever.
And so you, as somebody who obviously works from wherever there's Wi-Fi, much like myself and many of the digital nomads that we featured here on our show, how has that changed? I guess the last 8-9 months. What has changed in your life? Has it become a lot easier for you, maybe even to accomplish some of your work or your tasks, given everybody else is now in the same vein? Or talk to us a little bit about, I guess, the way the pandemic has directly affected Canada, and kind of now that we're in a second wave, what might be going on and how that directly relates to kind of your interest in your work.
So right now we are in the second wave in Montreal, which means that everything is closed. We started this like in last March. What has changed the most is that now we all work from home. At least I think I'm part of the lucky ones because I can keep on working on my stuff, and like since it's all technology, we can all work from our computer at home. But I think this is probably the biggest part of it, and the other one is probably the social part, because like I'm used to lead a team around me, and like leading people like in front of a computer, it's pretty different. We don't feel the same, like the human aspect of it is really different. But I mean, as I said, we are very lucky to be where we are. So I can't really complain about that.
Now you have a penchant, interest. How did you get into the van life? Talk to me about. Is that something you're currently doing? Is that something that you're spending more time doing because of the pandemic, or are you just an outdoor enthusiast? Because every acre in Canada is just so absolutely gorgeous. So talk to me about your outdoor enthusiasm and kind of what has attracted you to van life.
So I think I've always been a bit obsessed by vans in general. I think I remember like dreaming about having a Westphalia for so long. I guess with time I just get open-minded and start to see that there is something else than Westphalias, and I think I like the retro vibe of it and the surf vibe that goes with it. But like so we decided to get a camper to start. So no van at the beginning. We just wanted to learn how things work, like more on the electronic side and stuff like this. And like last year, that's where we kind of decided to jump into the van things. So I started to really look at different model, and that's where also I started to draw also a lot of vans, because each time I saw like a van that interested me, I started to draw them, and that was kind of a way for me to like create like I don't know how to say that, but to see like, oh, I like this model, especially for that things, and it were mostly not for the technicality of it, but more of the beauty. I guess I'm someone that loves cute things, so I started to look at a lot of retro vans. I think they have a lot of history and a lot of personalities. So I started to draw a lot of them like that, even some that I went visiting to potentially buy in it. I was bringing them, giving them names, and like go there and see if I like them. And so it started like this. And then I started to draw like other bands that I really like on Instagram, some accounts that are really cool. And like now it looks like I'm doing commission also, because people want to have their band. So that's the coolest part of it, finally.
And so which van do you have now? What were you able to settle upon?
Yeah, so we finally bought a Chevrolet, a Chevy G20 van, high-top, super nice. I love it. We called her Nachos because we used to have a guacamole, so Nachos after. But yeah, I love it. I'm gonna send you photos. You'll see.
So one question, I guess. So it's very interesting that you say that, it was kind of I don't know if you know this word, but cathartic, meaning like very cathartic, meaning it's how do I describe this? Like a homeostasis. It's very calming. It's very easing. It's very appealing to you to go through and draw. So it was helpful to you in discovering your vans, or the one that you ended up wanting to actually get, through kind of the lines and the drawing. Is that just typical, I guess, kind of your artistic style, or the way you go about it, illustrations? I mean, if you want to get into something, are you very much so you draw it, you illustrate it first, you try and put it down and get those details down, first, as opposed to, I don't know, more an individual like myself who's a little bit more analytical minded, that'll be like, oh, these dimensions have to matter first, or seems more aesthetic for you in that sense. And talk to me about, I guess, your creative philosophy or your design inspiration.
I think that's just obsession on my side, because I'm doing this the same way as like I love everything related about traveling. So I draw a lot about traveling, about skating, about surfing, about vans, about plants, like everything that's around myself and what I actually do as much as possible. Like during the pandemic, I started to learn skating. So I guess I started to draw skaters, and I got obsessed with that. It's the same way I did finally with the vans, and the same thing that I'm doing with all the plants that I have at home. As soon as I have a new plant, I like to draw it and give her a name, and I don't know, it's like it humanizes everything.
That's so unique. That's so cool. So I've got up on here on screen here some of your illustrations, and you can see just the level of creativity that you have. Are there any favorites or any unique ones that you would say were a challenge? Or I assume some of these may be custom commissions for individuals. Is there any stories behind those in terms of working with I guess the owners that you love, or any in particular?
So some of the last one are, I think, the most funny ones, because like adding, I usually don't add people on those drawing. I don't think that I'm so good at drawing people, and I don't know, maybe it's because I work with so amazing artists, that concept artists that do characters, and I don't feel that I'm part of it. But since a while, I'm adding like the owners of the van on the photos, and I think that it brings the drawing even further, because it kind of tell a story about the van. You see the people, you see that they have a dog. I'm trying to put some like background of where they travel in the USA or in Australia or stuff like that. And I don't know, I like the fact that it tells a story about it. Like, it's not just my obsession now, it's their obsession.
We're gonna have to see one of these for the Nirvana soon, I think. So we might have to work on that inevitably.
Okay.
if you're up for it. But we haven't even finished completely building it out. So we have the exterior complete. So maybe your illustrations might even inspire some additions that need to happen, because you're such the aesthetical nature of your work. You mentioned you have some little ones also. Do they like traveling with you? What are their favorite aspects of being on the road?
So my kids, like, I have a 2-year-old boy and a 5-year-old daughter. What's funny is that they always camp with us. Like, I think the older one started camping, she was like a month and a half. So we really are like camping enthusiasts. And in fact, she loved the van. She called it the cabane, which is like a way to say little house in French. And like, we are going almost every 2 weeks in traveling with them. Most for sure, going with kids on camping also means that you go to the beach and play in the sand. So but so many places, and like, we would like to do even more and go further, but I guess with the kids right now it's a bit complicated to do like 12 hours of driving. So we stay like around Montreal, like about like 5 to 6 hours max. But we love it, and yeah, the Quebec is a really good place to find this like cool spot, and yeah.
Okay, good deal. Well, Oceane, thank you so much for your time here. How can folks follow along with your journeys, and certainly keep an eye on your illustrations?
Active on Instagram since a while. I also have a Facebook page. Both of them are named Zulu Design, so ZOO.
To share with us in French?
Ah, sure. So, faites attention. Protégez-vous bien pour la COVID. Puis, merci à Camp Quarantine to invite me.
And what does that mean?
So I say stay safe and protect yourself. And thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you so much. The pleasure was ours on having you on our show. I hope you also stay safe and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much, Oceane.
Yeah.
So thanks again to Oceane. Her Instagram, you can take a look at all of her wonderful drawings and illustrations. That is Zulu Design. We've got that up on screen. Oceane was very I'm so ecstatic that she was able to share her time with us because, I mean, as you can see, her artwork speaks for itself. They're fabulous designs and creative pieces. I know she just also started an Etsy store with a lot of her merchandise. So if you are looking to get an illustration of your vehicle, your person, maybe a good Valentine's gift, drop her a message down below at Zulu Design. So thank you so much, Oceane. All right, folks, that is going to be it today for our show. Our next program will be right back here to close out the month of January on the 29th, next Friday. We will have an entire new slate of guests. We will be continuing to talk about the legacy and ongoing, philanthropy and life of the late Hank Aaron. But join us next week, Friday, January 29th. And you guys stay safe out there. Today happens to be National Celebrate Life Day. So as much as we're celebrating the life of Hank Aaron, go out there and live today like it is your last. Kiss those that you love. Spend some time with your family. And, we really appreciate you spending time with us this weekend. Last chance. We'll have this up for another couple hours, 4 hours. If you'd like to donate to win this Hank Aaron bobblehead, just take a look at our comments at pr@campquarantine.co. Shoot us a validation of any kind, whatever the amount, a donation to the Big Boys and Girls Club of Metro Atlanta, because January is National Mentoring Month, and Boys and Girls Club of Metro Atlanta is very near and dear to the late Hank Aaron. So thank you guys for joining us this week. Appreciate you spending time with us. Stay safe out there. Continue to stay positive and test negative. Don't touch your face, and be kind to those around you. We're going to leave you today to continue with the lasting legacy of Hank Aaron with some words and an interview back from 2013 with another wonderful Braves all-time great in Brian Jordan. Take care, guys. See you next week.
Hank, I want to say thank you, because watching you endure all that hate, and, for me, having some of that hate, but always looking back at what you went through and Jackie went through, you made me walk that straight line, because I appreciate it so much for what you guys did. Tell us a little bit about that hate. I mean, I can't even imagine trying to stay focused. How did you do that?
It was tough. Sometimes you sit down and you want to cry about it. Sometimes you think about it and you say, what did I do to make people have this kind of hate toward me? Really. I got so that I couldn't, for a year and a half there, I couldn't open a letter. They wouldn't allow me to open mail, because they have every piece of mail that I had was opened by Secret Service and people like that. It was hard. I had to go out of the back of ballparks instead of going out of the front of the ballpark, to go out the back of the ballpark. Tough situation for me for 3 or 4 years there for a while.
We've all seen number 715 sail over the left center field fence. When you hit that ball, what went through your head? Number 715.
Everything was over with. I thought all of the things that I had been through, the times that I was slipping out of the back of ballparks and etc., I thought it was over with. I felt relieved. I did. I felt relieved. I felt like there was nothing else for me to do.
As you look back at your career and to the present time, what do you want your legacy to be?
I just want people to realize that in spite of all of the things that I went through, that I did my very best in spite of, no matter what. I look at, I suppose, Brian, I look at my life and I say, you're lucky in a way, and you ought to be extremely pleased in a way. at what happened. 85 years old, you know, played for 23 years, you know, and played about as well as I could play, do just about as well as I could do. You know, I should be pleased with myself.